So today we celebrate the solemnity of the Most Holy Trinity. It's a fundamental question. Who is God? Who is it, the one that has created us? Who is it that holds all of existence? And there's many theories or many ideas about who God is. But it's fundamental to our life. Who is God? Also, if we're created in the image of God, it tells us who we are. And how we answer this question, it influences how we live our lives. What's my relationship with this God? And we can have an idea that God is alone, that God is solo. But what we celebrate today is that God is Trinity, that God is communion, that God is three persons and one God. And it's what we see in the gospel. Jesus says, everything that the Father has is mine. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are different, and yet they're in communion, and they're in communion because each one is loving. The Father is giving everything to the Son. The Son is doing the will of the Father. He says what he hears. Also, it says about the Spirit that he will glorify me. And so each person in the Trinity is donating, offering, giving himself for the sake of the other. God has revealed himself as love. God is love. This is who has created us. This is who holds everything in existence. And we're created in this image, which means that we were created in the image of God. We are created to live in communion. How can we live in communion if we're different? It's not that the Father is the same as the Son or the Son is the same as the Spirit. They remain different, but they experience communion so much so that they're one because of love. And so this is also true for us. The way that we can be in communion with the other, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children, whether it's others, is not that the other one does things according to our ideas, our plans. Not that the other one is like us. Communion is experienced by love. God has revealed himself as love. He's loving us. It's what we see on the cross. Everything that Jesus said, everything that he did is motivated in love. He was acting for our good, on our behalf, for our sake. This is who God is. And love, one who loves, desires to be one with the beloved. And it's also what we see. The Father sent the Son so that God could espouse humanity, could be one with humanity. And with the coming of the Messiah, God prepared a people that could receive him. St. Paul says in the second reading, the love of God has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. God gives himself to us because this is what love does. This is how love acts. Love gives himself. But how can we love? How can we love God? How can we love the others? It's only by first receiving this Spirit. It's only by first allowing God to love us. It's only by first allowing him to enter into our lives, allowing him to share our lives. If we receive this Spirit, which is God, which is love, which is personal, then we're able to love. We're able not to live for ourselves. We're able to live for the good of the other. We're able to give our lives in donation and in this way experience the communion experience what we were created for. If God is love, then we can understand what St. Paul says. He says that we boast in hope of the glory of God. We have hope of entering into eternal life. We have hope of entering into heaven. We have hope of entering into the life of the Trinity because of who God has revealed himself to be. And so believing that he's manifesting the truth, believing what he's revealing to us, this gives us hope. Not only that, but we even boast of our afflictions. St. Paul sees that everything in his life comes from God who is love. And for this reason, he can boast even of his afflictions. Everything in my life, all my history comes from the love of God. Even the afflictions. Knowing that affliction produces endurance. And so the affliction produces endurance. Endurance, proven character. And so the affliction that God's allowing is forming me, shaping me, molding me, maturing me for my good. Proven character, hope. And hope does not disappoint because the love of God has been poured out into our hearts. And so the reason that we have this hope of spending eternity in the life of God is that it's something that we've already experienced here. It's something that we've already tasted here. And so this is why we have the church. It's why we have the sacraments, so that we can receive this Spirit, which is God, which is love. And so it's what we celebrate in the Eucharist, that God is giving himself to us. God is revealing himself to us. God is manifesting himself to us. God is giving himself to us. But love can't force us. He can't force us to open ourselves up to him. He can't force us to love him in return. He can't force us to receive his love, to believe his word. He can propose, he can offer, he can show, which is what he has done, is doing. And then he leaves us free. And each one of us are free to say, it's true. God is love, which means I can trust him. I can allow him to enter into my life. I desire to be one with him. I desire to share life with him. I desire to become one with him. This is my happiness. And so I allow him into my life. I allow him to share his life with me. Or each one of us can harden our heart. We can close ourselves. We can choose to be alone. This is the drama of our freedom. Because when I close myself off, I'm choosing to be alone. I'm choosing not to enter into love, which means that I'm rejecting life itself, which is hell, which we in our freedom can choose. And it's why the evil one wants to convince us that God isn't love. But he's a liar with a bad intention. And so today we celebrate the solemnity of the Most Holy Trinity. Let's believe that what the church is proclaiming is true. Let us believe that what God has manifested is true. Let us believe that he is three persons and one God, which is to say that he's communion, which is to say that God is love. And this is how he's relating to us. This is how he's involved in our life. And so, as we now pass to the Eucharist, let us allow him to love us. Let us allow him to enter into our lives. Let us allow him to bring us into the life of the Trinity. This is the desire of God's heart, that we share in the life of God, that we share in the life of the Trinity, that we share in divine life. But it's by receiving this life that he's giving. And then this is what enables us then to live a life of love, to live a life of communion. And this is what we are created for. This is where we find fulfillment. This is our happiness. This is our peace. And so, as we continue with this Eucharist, let's ask for the gift of faith, that we can believe this word and allow this word to be fulfilled in our lives.